Okay, good morning, everyone. Pleased to meet you. I hope health. Now, we will start with an announcement. We will have a recap session, which will be, inshallah, our last session next Thursday morning, okay, at 8:30. I will have our last course on next Thursday, inshallah. One more announcement. I guess that many of you may know is that the exam date was decided. It will be on the 8th February. Okay, so exam date starting from the 8th February. And I guess we have plenty of time to prepare. Once more, I just try to remind you about the topics that you will be required to write about, which are mainly narrative and descriptive paragraphs. In the exam, you will have the choice to choose either to write about a narrative or a descriptive paragraph. Now, today we will start talk more about narrative, or how to write a narrative paragraph. Before that, now concerning the exam, up to now it is decided to be face-to-face, but we'll wait. You'll be informed. Okay, 8. So just be prepared. One advice for everyone: don't help your friends in the writing exam or in all exams, and don't use internet in case it is an online exam, because it's very easy for the teacher to identify if two students have copied from each other. And when we discover that, unfortunately, we are obliged to give a bad mark for both students. So sometimes you want to help your friend, but as a consequence, you have a bad mark. So helping your friend is working together. Okay, so as we did in the last 2 sessions, you just suggest a topic with a group of friends, then you write a paragraph, you read, or you exchange your writing with your friends, and you get their feedback. If they like, the teacher will like. All right, so as I told you, so the exam, up to now, it is decided it will be face-to-face, but of course, it does not depend on the university. It depends on other ministries. Maybe we will be informed that we cannot have the exam face-to-face, then it will be online. Whatever the way you will have the exam, what matters is that you are prepared for that. Now, we have a homework about flood. Who would like to read his paragraph, please, very quickly, because we don't have time. Someone to read his paragraph?
Can I read it, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'll start. This year's rain was very heavy, that it caused a lot of damage in many places. And speaking of it, my neighborhood was no exception. The place that I lived in is a pretty old place. The most of its houses goes back to the colonial period. So as a result of it, the heavy rain and heavy wind, some houses fell down on people while they are still in it. Since I lived there near what happened, I couldn't help but seeing everything happened in front of me, in front of my eyes, without doing anything about it. It wasn't the best feeling, but as I said, I couldn't help it. After After this natural disaster happened, 5 to 4 hours until police and firemen came to help. It was a bit late because a lot of people already died, and the ones who got survived or saved were badly injured. In addition to all this, a huge number of people now suffers from homelessness, and they sleep outside in this freezing weather. I feel sorry about these people because now they have nowhere else to go. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, just one remark for everyone. Just remember that in a descriptive paragraph, try not to tell a story, okay? There is no story, as we said before. And when there is no story, of course, there are no events.
Can I read?
Yes?
Yes. It was standing outside, cleaning out my windows room, watching rain pour down
I
from
cannot, I mean, your voice is not clear.
your voice is not clear.
First, is
Hey,
there
can you
anyone
hear
who
me?
is
Is there anyone who is
switching on
switching on?
his mic? Please switch off your mics,
Switch off your
except
mic.
for the students who would like
Except
to,
for the students who would like to. Yeah. Hold on now.
and speak up, please.
And speak up, please.
Hajar, we're waiting for you.
Hajar, we're waiting for you. Yeah. The great flood was standing outside, cleaning out onto my windows room, watching the rain pour down from the dark, gloomy sky. The loud thunder flowed parking lots, had formed into a lake. As we heard in the news, the rainfall will be continuous for another 4 more days, with high level. The looks on everyone's face were dazed. The worry appeared on all my family members, except my little brother seemed unaware of the natural disasters that were occurring. The muddy water contaminated with yucky things invaded the streets. Suddenly, we heard some loud knocks and deep voices came from behind the door of the apartment complex. From the neighbors that were yelling out, they had many ways to pick up other helpless individuals, and then the stairs was halfway underwater, and we had to talk through the affliction waters just to get into a safe area. While we were escaping, we saw a school bus and some black cars underwater in garages, and our neighborhood grocery store was submerged, so we could only see the top of the sign. All we heard was women and children screaming out of fear and asking for help. As we went to a safe land, and in the exhibition hall, it appeared to be another word. There was only there was all in the same situation, homeless, of course. How a flood could change the state in certain moments. I thought nice volunteers helped us with their things, covers, clothes, and food, mentioning the spirits of solidarity that characterizes the Moroccan people. We thank the Croatian volunteer for their help. That's it.
Okay.
It's all.
Okay. All right.
Can I read, teacher?
Yes.
The flood is an overflowing of big quantity of water beyond its normal confine. That is exactly
I'm
what
sorry
happened.
to interrupt you. The sound is not clear. Um, there is a
I'm
problem.
trying again.
I
I'm trying
cannot hear
again.
you well. Uh-huh.
The fluid is an overflowing of big quantities of water beyond its normal confine. That's exactly what happened in Casablanca.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you. We cannot hear you. I'd like someone to send his paragraph to put it in the chat if it is already written. Yes, so we have one sent by Zainab. Let's have a look at it. The citizens of Casablanca walked a horrid thrill amidst the gruesome flood that befell them just a few weeks ago. Videos and pictures sharing the tragic scene of buildings collapsing to smithereens, earnings, gasps, and yelps from the surrounding crowd. The loud piercing wails of family members mourning the death of their loved ones blasted across online platforms. The air heavy with woo and grim, filled with smoke and ash from the earthquaking crash. Heavy, murky, and muddy waters carrying what's left of the poorly constructed edifice. Furniture, clothes, and other personal items floating around like corpses, a clear reminder of what was lost during the catastrophe. Okay, it's a good paragraph. I think what's missing there is clear conclusion, though um, because when you describe, when you write a descriptive essay, you need an attitude. You have to make explicit your attitude from the very beginning. Okay, so positive, negative attitude, and then don't forget that we need an introductory sentence and a concluding one. But it's a good one. It's a good paragraph. Now, unfortunately, I cannot read and hear all what is written. What matters for me is that everyone writes, because this is the only way to prepare for the exam. Now, I'd like you to suggest, please, a topic, a narrative topic, as a homework for next time. Who would like to suggest? Just write your suggestions. Narrative, paragraph, a suggested topic, please. A mission. Yes. Coronavirus. But try to don't give me the topic in just one or two words. Better write it in the form of a sentence. Digital learning, childhood memory, an adventure. Yes. You see that we have many good suggestions. Now, what I want to suggest you, this is something that was suggested to me by my daughter. She told me, why not suggest the same topic about flood, but here you will discuss it in a narrative way, and so that you can see the difference between the two types of writings. Okay, so I suggest that we write about flood in your city. Now here, but in a narrative way, narrative topic, so that it will be a good exercise to see how you can talk about the same topic, but in a descriptive way and a narrative way. So here, narrative. Now here, of course, story. We need a story. We need events, connecting words like next, then, after that, etc. should be used logical order, chronological order in events. Okay, so that would be your homework for next time. I would like also, since it is, or that's it. So now flood, but this time tackle the topic as a narrative one. Okay, now back to the lesson. Now here, we have paragraphs. What you're supposed to do is to identify the structure of the following paragraphs. Okay, now please look at the question. State the ideas in your own words rather than simply copying the sentences word for word. Okay, so first of all, you read the paragraph, identify where is the topic sentence, you write it here. Okay, then what is the supporting idea number one? Its detail, related detail, then supporting idea number two, and its detail. So the topic for next time, Sana, is flood again, but you write it as a narrative topic this time, not as a descriptive one. And anyway, I will put the lesson in Google Classroom. If you miss something, you can get it. So start doing the exercise, please. We analyze the paragraph so that we can see the different parts, including the topic sentence and the supporting details. Fill in, and don't forget that you have to write in your own words. And the concluding idea. What is the concluding idea of this paragraph? So I'll give you a few minutes and then we can correct. First question is, what is the topic idea of the paragraph? In other words, what is the main idea of the paragraph? Okay, so I have many good suggestions. I will choose one. So the topic sentence three tips. It's good to identify the word three because they will be discussed later on. Okay. Yes. But if you mention techniques in general, acceptable. But here we are talking about three specific techniques. Now, what is the first supporting idea? Give you a few minutes. First supporting idea. So the main idea of the paragraph is 3 tips to be an excellent student. Okay, the others. What is the first supporting idea? Yes, good. So we have 3 tips. The first one is being well organized. Now, what is the details now? How this idea is developed? Now, the detail relates to this. So are here in the detail related to the first idea. Of course, here it's better to paraphrase. Why does the computer underline in red here?
The
Space.
spaces?
Yes, of course. Now for the space, it looks like if for the computer, it's as if it is one word. Okay, so we need space. Okay, necessary tools. It's like in any job, you need tools to work. Studying needs, it's difficult to study without having a pen nearby, a dictionary. Been teaching for many years, and I use a dictionary every day. So you're lucky to have now phones where you can simply download dictionaries, or in case you don't have a smartphone, you can simply use the usual dictionary. But working with a dictionary in all subjects is a must. Okay, whenever you have a doubt of 2% about a spelling of a word, check it. Okay, when you look word, and please at this stage stop using bilingual dictionaries. Okay, use just English to English dictionaries, because while looking up a word, you are learning
Hello, Mr.
new
Oxby.
things. Yes. Now look at
Hello,
the.
Mr. Oxby.
Hello, who is talking?
I'm a new student. I have just joined you. I was looking for my apogee for about 3 days.
Okay, so welcome. So just follow. Now, though you're a little bit too late, but anyway, look at the supporting idea, read the paragraph, and just write the supporting idea, please. Number 2, read again the paragraph and what is the supporting idea number 2? Yes. Okay, good. Now here, time management or good. Many students complain about not having enough time to do things. Their main problem is time management. Okay, so of course planning is very important, organization very important, and stop complaining about having many tasks to do, because that does not solve your problem. All you have to do is to start doing something. Okay, so today I have told you, informed you about the date of the exam. So you have to, at least normally you should have had a plan before, even from the very beginning. But if we suppose that you will have a planning for the finish, if you want, the last few days to go, you have a holiday, a week holiday, so, and you have also a week after the holiday, so that you can be well prepared. So for the course of writing paragraphs, you can organize things with a group of friends, group of serious friends, and then all you have to do is to suggest topics and to write as many paragraphs as you can. Okay, so maybe you can have as a challenge to write, for example, 5 or 6 paragraphs, 10 paragraphs, including narrative and descriptive ones. That's a minimum you can do to prepare for the exam. And the more you write, okay, the more you are well prepared for the exam. Now, good time management. Now, what is the detail now? Look at the paragraph. Hadar, you will be informed about the subject you have for every day. Okay, everything will be you'll be informed. Okay, I mean, you don't come for the exam without knowing which course or which subject you will have. Of course, you will be informed before. But prepare for all the subjects, of course. Yes. Yeah, we waste a lot of time. Stop now using a lot of social networks. You don't have time for that. Okay? Stop using internet for useless things. Focus on your exams. Now, good time management. Look at the paragraph and say what does it state about that. Badr is asking about how many lines. There is no limit to the number of lines in a paragraph, though I don't advise you to write a very long paragraph. Okay, very long paragraph means many mistakes, and you are penalized for each mistake. It can have a negative impact. Again, when I say don't write long paragraphs, does not mean that you have to write short paragraphs. Very short paragraphs means that they are not well developed. So you need to write something in between. I would say 12 lines, 14 lines as a maximum would be a good paragraph. What matters is that we have the elements we have talked about in a standard paragraph, which is the introducing of the topic sentence, develop your topic sentence, and then a concluding sentence. Okay, now detail supporting idea. Avoid contractions in writing. Contractions is a characteristic of the spoken form of English. Better avoid in writing. Okay, so yes, if you can. I mean, this is something that I personally used to do when I was your age. Having a schedule, having a plan for the whole week. This you have to do it. And it won't be imposed by anyone except by you. That's a sense, that's a sign of maturity, being mature. You don't need to be pushed to work by others. It needs to be self-motivated. So having a schedule, for example, you can say Monday morning, I have to work 1 or 2 subjects in the morning. Then in the afternoon, I have to work 2 more subjects, and every day you have to assign some time to all the subjects that you have in the exam. Okay? So preparation is the key to success. So many exercise, whether it's grammar. So for grammar, you have books of grammar where you can find exercises. You can just go to internet and you have exercises. Reading comprehension, you have to look for texts. Just Google can help you by typing texts, tests, and then you can find texts with questions. And even sometimes the computer can score and correct your answers. As for writing paragraphs, you simply have to write paragraphs, etc. So having a plan and try to respect that it's like, for example, you like a film, you want to see a film, so you have to tell yourself, okay, I have to write a paragraph, to read the text, to answer its questions, then I can watch the film. That would be my reward, the reward that you give to yourself. Otherwise, you don't deserve to watch the film. If you don't do the task that you have assigned to yourself, then you don't deserve, and you don't have time for watching a film. Okay, So great if you can do that. You'll see that you will make big progress. And remember that the difference between students, I mean, we identify the best students are those who work more at home, alone. It's not about having a teacher by your side all the time. The teacher in university is but a guide, counselor, and advisor. So most of the job should be done by you. Now, what is the third supporting idea? Have a look at the paragraph. We need the third supporting idea. Okay, so the third supporting idea is, I take here a suggestion of one of your friends, preparing well for tests, because that's what matters for you. Your goal is to get a good mark. And how can we get a good mark? Simply by preparing. There is no other way. I mean, there is no secret. It's about preparation. Now, the detail related to this supporting idea. Can you imagine someone who writes 20 paragraphs at home before the exam, and someone who writes not a single one? Do you think that this person who has not written any paragraph before the exam would be able to have a good mark? It's impossible. Okay, so the more you practice, and the writing is challenging. Okay, besides that, you have the constraint of time, the stress of exam, and how can you reduce that stress is by being well prepared. Okay, so we have many good answers. Take one. Taking notes is very important. Many students are not yet accustomed to taking notes. It's not because I put the document for you in Google Classroom that you don't need to take notes. Writing is very important. You need to use your pen, because in the day of the exam, you will not you will write using a pen. Okay, still we are using the old method of exams. And guessing test question. Okay, now here at least in writing paragraphs, you will not be surprised. In the exam, you will have either a narrative or a descriptive topic. So you know, at least from now, what you should be prepared for. But in many lessons, if you are always present, you can see what the teacher is focusing on, and then you may even guess the question or the type of questions that he can give. Yes, the last thing is, what is the concluding idea of the paragraph? Concluding idea, read the paragraph, and then what is the conclusion? Zineb, you have gone away from the paragraph we are studying. I'm not talking about how to write a paragraph here. So it's not a technique, it's 3 techniques that we have talked about. Okay, that's the conclusion. Yes, Nora. Following those 3 techniques will lead you to success. Pay attention, some students confuse the word fall with fail. Fall and fail. Pay attention. All right, so we have another exercise of the same type. I will skip it. Maybe you come back to it if we have time. And now we start talking about in detail how to write a narrative paragraph. Okay, I would like you to read the first lines here and tell me what you get. Keywords from the first lines. Try to say in your own words. Yes, once more. A narrative paragraph. We said it and we say it again. We say it again. We have a story. We need to tell a story. It can be an anecdote. What is an anecdote?
A short story,
Yeah, of course it is a short story.
but it is funny.
Yes, it can be funny. Yes, good. Can be funny. It can be interesting. So when you tell a story, of course, it can be a real story or not necessarily a real story. Okay, can be invented. It's like if I say, though I will never give a topic like that. If I say, tell me about your last visit to Paris. And then you say, yeah, you cannot write here, I have never been to Paris, full stop. Of course. Now here, you imagine, okay? And then you tell as if, it's not lying, by the way. It's not lying. It's imagining. Okay, and it won't be difficult for you to imagine visiting Paris, which is a city that you see a lot on TV. But we will not give you topics like that anyway. But it's just about imagination, okay, which should be present. Yes, having that sense of imagination, which is very important. Now, so we need a story. And here we have 3 keywords, which are planning, developing, and polishing. What do you mean by planning?
Putting a schedule. As
No, I'm talking about planning in writing your paragraph, in your narrative paragraph.
organizing your ideas in a sheet, then starts working.
Mm-hmm. Yes, what to tell first? Yes. Have a structure? Yes. Now, it's like from the very beginning, you need what we call brainstorming. Whenever you are given a topic, the first thing to do is to write whatever comes to your mind on a piece of paper. It should take a few minutes. Okay? And then check very quickly in 1 minute whether all the ideas or details are related to the topic, because sometimes you can be driven by our ideas and then we forget about the topic. So we have to keep in mind our topics so that we don't include things that are not related. So brainstorming, I write whatever comes to my mind first. Then I check, I read again. I don't need to write here full sentences, just phrases. Okay. Then I check whether they are related to my topic, and then I can talk about planning. Planning is like having a very short outline or plan. Like if you say, this is what I will start with, outlining, yes, what I will start with, this is how I will finish, etc. It's like, as I told you before, narrative topic, when you brainstorm, you have at least to have those 3 boxes before the event, and after the event. So when you brainstorm, check where, in which box you will write the phrases that you have come up with. Is before the event? Should they be put in the event or after the event? So in case you have a box which is empty, it means that it needs you to think about an idea. All right? Could you please switch off your mics? Tabit, can you switch your mic, please?
Sorry, teacher.
Now, so we have planning. Why planning is very important? Why brainstorming is very important? It is important so that you don't repeat yourself, because sometimes you can have the same idea stated in different words. Okay? Now we are talking about paragraphs in general, narrative paragraphs. Some students are still connected with the previous exercise. We have moved to writing a narrative paragraph. Okay, so a plan is a guide, yes. Though you make a plan, remember that it's not a prison. Okay.
كي غندير تنسد الكاميرا كي غندير ليها كتحل لي الكاميرا ما كنعرفش هاد الزمر كيفاش غندير ليه كيبقاو كيشوفوا كيبقاو كيقولوا لي سدي الكاميرا صافي راه خرجتونا كاع
Now, so we need planning, and then what is the second keyword? We have planning, drafting. Yes, drafting or developing. Yes, then you need to develop. Okay, so we have one, planning. I need to know what should I start with, what should I write after as a second point, what should I finish with? Yes, and then developing. Now here, developing, what do you mean by developing?
Analyzing, teacher.
What?
Analyzing.
Analyzing, it could be analyzing, it could be explaining, it could be exemplifying. Yes?
We can say turn our ideas to sentences and paragraph.
Yes, of course. Now remember that as at the very beginning, we said that brainstorming, you don't need to come up with full sentences. Okay? Yes, Khadija. Yes, Sumia. Good. Wisal. Supporting. So developing is including supporting details. Okay, when I say something, I have to support it. It's like in the exercise we have just done. You say something, you support it with, do not assume that the reader understands or knows. Okay, so you have to provide things to support whatever you say. And then as a last keyword mentioned is
Polishing
polishing. What do you mean by polishing?
is making something brighter by
Brighter, that's the first meaning. But here, in the context of writing, what does it mean?
is making the narrative paragraph perfect.
Yes.
Working
Perfect.
on it until it gets flawless. Until there is no mistakes or flaws.
Yes. Yes. Flows, no mistakes. Polishing. Yes.
Maybe revising to check or change or improve the contents of what we have written.
Yes. Now, of course, revising is very important. Polishing has to do with the form. Okay. So at the very beginning, we focus on the content. Okay, on ideas. Okay, so polishing, it has to do with the form of the paragraph, including avoiding mistakes, seeing if all the words used are appropriate, if we have spelling problems, tense problems, whatever. You have to correct. Okay, so focus first on the content, means on ideas, then on the form. It's like if we say what first, the what is very important, what to say, and then what is also very important is how to say it in the best way. Of course, avoiding repetitions. Now, repetitions will be avoided if you have a small plan, a plan. You will avoid making repetitions. Okay, form the paragraph. Make sure that you have an intention at the beginning of the paragraph. Spelling, check spelling problems. Spelling, check grammar, check punctuation. These are all have to do with when we say punctuation. Of course, we have in mind capitalization. Do I use capitalized letters at the right time? It's impossible to focus on all these things at the same time. It's especially at the very beginning, your main focus is on ideas. And this is very important. You have to talk about what you are required to talk about. And then you move to polishing, making your paragraph look great, well organized, well written. Some students, you can use proverbs, whatever, but of course the proverb should be used appropriately. It is needed. It's not imposed on your narrative paragraph. Okay, some students who have a very bad handwriting, please, those who have a bad handwriting, at least write slowly, skip lines, so that you don't make life difficult, hard for the teacher. Remember that we correct hundreds of pages. We don't want to spend half an hour or 1 hour in one paper. That gives, I don't want to hide something, that it gives a negative impression, and it may have an impact on your marks. So at home, there are some students who do not make a difference. Their U is like their R. Their L is like their T. Their B is like their V. I don't know. I mean, you have to, at least at home, make sure that you are not writing for yourself. You are writing for someone else. And sometimes when I see a paper, from the very first sight, I can have either a good impression or a bad impression, and this have an impact on the mark given. Plus the other elements that I have talked to you before at maybe at the first session, is that I take into consideration in the exam 4 things, which the content first, whether the students elements taken into consideration in the exam. So pay attention. When I give a mark in the exam, I'm not giving a mark about a general impression about your writing. No, no, no. First, content. Has the student written about what he is required to write about first? And this, many students would say, yes, the majority write about the topics, but we have always a few exceptions of some students who write paragraphs that has nothing to do with the topic, or they think that it is close, but it is a little bit far. It's like if I give you a simplistic example, if I tell you to write about volleyball, don't talk about basketball, though there is the word ball there. Okay, if I say talk about volleyball, talk about volleyball simply. Then, so the content, Then, so number 1 is the content. Number 2 is the diction. Now here, the use of appropriate words. Then grammar problems. Grammar is very important. I mean, you can have very good ideas, but many grammatical problems, then it has an impact so for each mistake you have half a mark which is lost. Okay. And then spelling. How to write words. Now, when you don't know how to write a word, don't write it. Don't use French words or Arabic words between brackets and say the teacher will translate. So these are the elements that I take into consideration when I correct your paper. Now, we go on. Have a look at next here and tell me what you get, please. Most important things, try to write in your own words. You cannot use a dictionary in the exam. Of course you can't. That's why, please, when you prepare with your friends, suggest a topic and don't use a dictionary. Write your paragraph as if you are in an exam context and try to write your paragraph in no more than 1 hour. 1 hour is more than enough. Okay? And then maybe when you finish, you exchange your papers with your friends. Then one of your friends will say, I think that this word is we have a problem in this word. You are not sure? Then we check in a dictionary. So you check in the dictionary after, and you'll see how many problems you will find. What is the most important thing mentioned here in this few lines? Yes, here what is important, says, as Fatim Zahra said, is making the topic idea clear. It should be clear to you. If it is clear to you, then it is clear to your readers. Okay, so and why show making the topic idea clear for yourself and for the reader. It's like you from the very beginning, you set the tone and you prepare the reader for what he can expect. It's like in the example here mentioned in the sheet. Look at this example. Terry's only day working as a dishwasher was one of the worst days of her life. Okay, so from the very beginning, the reader can expect that you will explain what makes this day the worst day in her life. Okay, so we'll expect negative things, of course. Okay, and so we suppose that the student has worked as a dishwasher and it is her first day and the only day working, and it was the worst day. Yes, so the topic sentence is very, yes. Now here, why the narrative matters. Now here, this is very important. Okay, yes, Sana. You have to create a kind of suspense for the reader. They would like to know what happened. Okay, and of course you don't tell what happened from the very first sentence. It's impossible. That's why we said we need a topic sentence, or it looks like an introducing sentence where you set the tone, you prepare the reader, but you don't say everything. Okay, the most important things will be found in the development stage, where you will show details. Okay, so creating suspense, very important. Create, like in a film, so the reader would like to be eager to know what happened. Yes. Why that narrative matters. From the very beginning, you have to show the significance of the story you are telling. You are not telling the story for the sake of telling a story. Okay? Of course, you are required to say that story, but you'd like to see why you have thought about that story among the many stories you know, or the many experiences that you had. Okay, so the topic sentence should be the first thing you start with. Now, developing. Now read this and tell me what you get in your own words. Give you a few minutes to read. So I have just received now it is official. The exam will be starts the 8th of February, inshallah. Okay, so you'll have plenty of time to prepare for the exam. Yes. Detail should be written in a way that keeps the reader interest, or keeps the reader interested, and should respect a chronological order. Now here, chronological order, or we could say time order. So yes, the reader should be interested. Chronological order, time order. Again, to give you a simple example, if I say, what have you done last week? Then you can start Monday, then you talk what you have done on Tuesday, Wednesday, okay? So here, if you're following the normal time progress, okay? Of course, it's possible to say what you have done Monday, then move to Thursday, then go back using the flashback technique. But I don't advise you to do that in the exam. Follow the normal sequence, chronological sequence of events. Yes, so follow time or chronological order, normal way how the events proceed in a normal way. Okay, yes, is there anything else that is mentioned here? Of course, here development means details. Okay, include as many details as you can. Okay. And here, what Selma said is good.
Thank you, teacher.
Developing, yeah, welcome. There are so many students, good students, from the way they write. I hope that all the students will write this way. So developing the paragraph is very important matter, is a very important matter, which remember that we need a comma before which, includes detail that make the story more vivid. Okay, so it's like you involve the reader in the story. Okay, the more you include details, the more the reader can imagine the story and even can believe that it is part of the story. That's a key to successful writing. Make more vivid and real, though it can be a story which is imagined. It's not about lying. Though it is an imagined story, try to make the reader feel as if it is a real story. Okay, now please don't make the mistake when I say, because some students, when we say imagine, be creative, they can sometimes come up with stories that nobody can believe. Don't do that unless it's a science fiction story. But still, if you are telling a story about something that happened, then it should look real. Though it is imagined, it should look real. So Aja says, how could we imagine, since you told us it should be real? It should look real. Okay? Even if it is imagined, it should look real. When I read your story, I can say this can happen. Don't tell me once a day I was going out and then a thief wanted to steal my wallet, and then I took my gun from my pocket. So when you say gun in Morocco, no one would believe you, because guns, it's not something common except for gangs. Okay, so no. I'm talking about imagine. You can imagine a story that could happen in real life. Not necessarily that you have experienced it. Okay. Back to the story. For example, tell me about the day where you've been stolen, for example. Maybe you have never had this experience. I don't want you to have this this experience, but even if you have never had this experience before, you can imagine, okay, from things that you hear, from things that you read, from things that you were told to you by your friends. But whatever you say should look real. Okay, we have to believe you. It's like when we read, you say, no, this can never happen. Okay, so creativity, there are, so in being creative, you have to write something that can be plausible, acceptable in our context, unless you are talking about another context which is not ours. Okay, maybe if you talk about United States where guns are allowed, then maybe you can talk about using guns, etc., which is a common practice there, but not in Morocco. Okay, so including details, very important. That's what we mean by development. Chronological order, time sequence, one event following the other. Okay, then of course we need the concluding. What do you mean by concluding and finishing touches? Yes, so we need a concluding sentence. Yes, very good. Yes, Wisal, you have to show. I mean, when I read your paper, I have to feel that, yes, you have finished. From the last sentence that I will read, I need to have or to know that you have come to an end, as your friend has mentioned. Yes, show the reader that the story has come to an end. Yes, now what about finishing? Don't write those conclusions like in Moroccan films. When you so in many Moroccan films, we finish the film and we don't know what is the end, what is the conclusion. It's like the filmmaker have no idea and tell the reader, okay, think of an end yourself. it's lack of a sign of lack of creativity. It can be a technique, but most of the time, I'm sorry to say, it's a lack of imagination. Now, what do you mean by finishing touches?
The final revision of the paragraph.
Yes, very good. Final revision. Yes. Now here, you pay attention to the aesthetic things that would make your paragraph look as a good paragraph. I don't know the students who comes at this time what they want to do. Yes, pay attention to the spelling, punctuation. It's with you. Final revision. And unexpected. And yes, if you can. Though, as I said, it should be, it should look real. All right. Now, last lines. Now here, anything else mentioned here that we did not talk about? Whatever you get, you write, please. Yes. Transitional words are very important. Use of transitional or linking words. Very important between sentences to make the idea, even if it is clear to you, it should be clear to the reader. Of course, the tense which is appropriate for narratives is the past tenses. The appropriate past tenses generally are the appropriate tense used in narratives. Of course, you can use present in some situations, especially when it is direct speech, when you try to involve the reader in the event, and to say, for example, and he said, and you put it between inverted commas, and here you can keep the present tense, for example, as it was used really in the story. Okay. Of course, I mean, tenses depends on the context, on your sentences. Of course, present perfect is good because present perfect connects the past with the present, especially when you want to talk about how you have experienced something. Yes, present perfect connects the past with the present. Yes. What else? So remember that if we say narrative, it's a story. Of course, when you say story, it means that it equals story equals characters. It's like in a film. Okay. So you need to It's like you are writing a scenario, okay? And then you have actors. It's like a film, a scenario for a film, and you have actors in your film. Most of narratives, we tend to, students tend to have just one single character, which is themselves, okay? Of course, the more you have characters in your story, the more you have something to say, and you show the interaction between the characters in that story. Okay. Yes, and of course you have characters. You need a place, a setting. Where does the action takes place? Setting and the time. I mean, it's impossible to have a story that happens nowhere. No, it should be, you need to specify the place where the story took place. A city, I don't know. Well, in space, space is a place itself. So even in space, it is a place. If you are an astronaut, then the place where it happens is space. So you need to contextualize, okay, to put in a context your story. Okay, what else we have here? Now here I would like you to focus on this. Remind your reader of your purpose. What does it state here? Yes, remind of the topic. Yes, the main idea. Very good, Fatim Zahra, Khadija, man, good. Now you see here, if you remember the topic sentence that we opted for, Terry's only working day was one of the worst days of her life. That's the topic sentence. And now here, at the very big, at the end, those 8 nightmarish hours combined to create a horrific day Terry will never forget. And you see here that we are reminding the reader of the topic sentence that say that it was the worst day in her life. Okay, so it's good to show to the reader, hey, pay attention, I did not forget my topic sentence. Of course, there should be no contradiction between what you started with and what you finish with. All right. Well, I think that's all. Thank you very much. Now, please remember that we'll have a recap session Thursday. Recap session, so that we'll have our last course Thursday, 21st January at 8:30. Okay, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves and goodbye.